Hey everybody, you're watching Two Guys Take on Real Estate. I'm Kevin, the Property Prince, and I'm here without Matt, the Landlord Ninja, because it's time for another Prince's Pet Peeve. So today, our pet peeve that we're going to discuss is something that bothers small and large landlords alike: late payment of rent. It's so annoying. I mean, literally, you guys have a contract, worked up with the tenant, it's a lease agreement. It tells them exactly what's expected per month and when the last day to get it in on time would be. So maybe the rent's $1,000 a month. The due date is no later than the first of that month. And then you start getting calls shortly after your tenancy began saying, hey, my rent's late, or it's going to be late, or I'm not going to get it until the 7th or the 8th or whatever. How do you handle that? So first of all, it's really important as a landlord that you have your rent coming in when it's due, because you have a ton of expenses you're responsible for. Best thing I can tell you is don't rely on your tenants to pay the rent on time. Have some kind of a cushion so that you aren't getting behind on your mortgage every time the tenant's running a few days behind on their rent. But more importantly, what do you do? How do you talk to your tenant? How do you let them know how you want to handle that situation? So again, this is not something that should please you. This is the tenant basically telling you they can't live up to their primary responsibility. Could you imagine if the shoe was on the other foot and you had to call a tenant back when they told you their heating system doesn't work, the hot water tank's having an issue, or they've got a leak in the roof, and you had to tell them, oh, well, listen, times are tough. I got a lot of stuff going on right now. I'm out of town. I'm busy. Work's been rough. I can get to that. I can get to that roof leak maybe in a couple of weeks. Sorry about that. They're not going to be cool with that. They're not going to treat you politely and professionally. They're going to be like, hell no, get over here and fix that, or I'm calling the city, or I'm taking you to court, or you have to pay for a hotel. I can't have my family living here without heat, those kind of things. And they're right. So you should be thinking the same way and projecting that same type of concept to them, but you want to do it in a professional and polite manner while being very, very firm about your expectations. So your expectations are simply that they do what they promise to do, pay the rent in full by the first of the month, no exceptions. So never give them permission to be late. When somebody calls you and says, hey, my rent's late or coming in late, say, okay, well, that sucks. Rent is due on the first, no later than the first, and it's really, really important that you do that. I mean, I'll put a note in your system or in our system or in your file or whatever. I'll write it down that you called me and let me know, I guess. But, you're probably going to get a notice in the mail. And, it's going to be a vacate notice because you haven't paid for this month. So, if you pay, great, just go ahead and tear that notice up. We don't want to kick you out. We just need to get paid, and it goes to everybody. And you have to have this process yet where you treat everybody the same. So if a tenant does that and they're late on their rent, send these notices out to people. It's the first step in an eviction process. I mean, depending on your state. But in our state, we send a 14-day notice out to anybody that hasn't made a rental payment by XYZ date in the month. And it's really, really important because the tenants need to understand that there's a consequence. Also, it protects you from a tenant dragging a situation out with a lot of BS about when their rent's coming in, and they maybe never have an intention or ability to pay. And now you're many weeks beyond where you would be if you had started the process right away. But bottom line is, let them know you don't want to go through the process. You do want to have them pay, and you do want to have them stay, and that they can just tear the paper up as soon as they pay, and you're all too happy to have them do it. It's a great way to handle it while remaining firm in your expectations. The other thing that does for you is, in some states, again, very liberal states like where I have property, if you don't do something about it when a tenant's late, that inaction creates a new due date. It's insane. I mean, literally insane. So if somebody's always paying their rent on the 8th of the month, right, the 15th of the month, whatever, and you never send them anything about it saying that that's not okay, and that goes on for like a year, even though your contract said the rent's due by the 1st, your actual performance on that contract between the parties, you've now changed the terms of the tenancy. That's the way how some of these courts handle some of this stuff. It's incredible, but it is what it is. So make sure you're documenting it, that they contacted you, that they said that they were going to be late. Thank them for sending their payment in if they send it in. I mean, you need to get that money in, and you're really appreciative of them paying you, but it's not okay. It was due in the first. What really pisses me off, and I'm sure if you've rented property before, this has happened to you, moving somebody in at lease signing, they've got their first last security, and you're talking about methods of payment and things like that, and then they drop this bomb on you. My favorite, ready? Oh, well, I don't get paid each month, or my income until like the 5th. So, if it's a weekend and stuff, I might not be able to get the money to you until like the 8th. Is that okay? The answer is freaking no, man. No, it's not okay. Look at your contract. You just agreed in your contract that you're signing right there on the spot that the payments are the rental payments due no later than the first of each month. And you're literally turning around and saying, "Oh, my one responsibility, can I just do it, some other way?" No, no, you can't. And it's really important you have a conversation. You have to stop right there at that lease signing and determine right there if you want to move forward with that rental or not. So wow, why is that really important? I mean, if you move forward with a tenant that is already testing you and telling you they won't perform their basic agreement terms, what else are they going to screw up? That's a huge red flag. Are they going to move in unauthorized occupants? Are they going to move in 4 dogs? Are they going to smoke, inside the home? What else are they going to do that you're not okay with? And so that's really important right off the bat. But second of all, seriously, think it through. They're there with their first month's rent along with their last and security. But say you're moving them in November 1st, right? They're standing there with their check for November 1st, telling you that they're getting their income for the month, or maybe they're on like some kind of monthly welfare system type of thing, and they get their payments on like the 3rd or the 5th. That money should be going towards December, buddy. Like, you're already paid for November. That is your money that you're using to pay for December. December 1st is just simply the last day to get it in on time. So make sure, I'm never successful doing this, but get through to their head that payment that they're getting right then in the next few days should be getting cut into a check going to you. They should be early on their rent, not late. Think about that. You're taking a situation where they're prepping you for poor performance right off the bat in their tenancy, and you should be turning that right around on them and telling them how that should be stellar performance by having their rent in before the last minute. So their money that they're getting in for the beginning of November should be going towards December's rent. That's how you should be expecting them to do it. Blow their mind. You probably won't actually see that actually happening. Instead, you're going to have a situation where they're just always paying late. You're always sending them a 14-day notice or an eviction notice or whatever your state has. And then they're always going to catch up and make that payment. You tear up that notice and you keep going. You might have a lease agreement that calls for an eviction if they're late more than twice in a year and all that stuff. That's completely up to you how pissed off and how much you want to change out your tenancy that you want to be. Honestly, for us, we just really want to see the money coming in, each month. If they're a couple of days late, if they're a week late or 2 weeks late, it's not that big of a deal in the greater scheme of things compared to other tenants that could suck in so many different ways. Am I right? So that's something I would absolutely evaluate for you and how important it is to your business. But yeah, if you have a tenant that's just chronically paying by the 9th, it could be really much, much worse. So really consider and weigh that out, what's more important for you. But never say that it's okay for them to pay their rent late. Tell them, thanks for letting me know that you're going to pay the rent late, or thank them when they do pay it. But always make sure that it's documented. Always make sure that they're told and reinforced that their payment due date was no later than the 1st. Don't just take the money and never say anything about it. Remember, if the shoe is on the other foot, they're not going to be anywhere near as flexible with you when it comes to you not meeting your basic responsibilities for providing housing. So even though you might be an awesome landlord, and so many people are very generous and awesome landlords out there, and you want to work with people, just take these simple steps. You're not being a mean person by taking steps to protect yourself. You're setting yourself up into a situation where if somebody continues to exploit you or take advantage of you and your services, you're at least minimizing the amount of damage you could suffer from that. I hope this helped. Seriously, share this channel, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and do your best to support us so we can get out there in front of more and more real estate investors and landlords and help them develop their portfolios too. Until then, thanks very much for watching, and I hope everybody has a great and successful relationship with their tenant.